welcome to day 3, our final day of E3 2015 coverage. So we are going to discuss really like the full E3 experience today with our lovely guests, who we are now going to introduce. And I totally forgot to hold this up. Now we're going to introduce our lovely guests, starting with Hombre.
Hi, I'm Hombre de Mundo from ZeldaUniverse.net. I'm gonna talk mostly about Nintendo because that's mainly what we do. I'm also gonna complain about Star Wars stuff. So look forward to that.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Criken.
I'm Criken. I make YouTube videos and develop games now. You can find me on youtube.com/Criken2 and on Twitter at Crickmaster. And I was there all 3 days, so I've got a lot to talk about.
Nice.
And Dave, our MVP.
Yay! I'm Dave,
every
the
day.
MVP. I'm so excited about E3, and now I'm just sad. I'm just really sad because it's over. So I'm going to talk about how depressed I am because I just want more E3. I was thinking about how many more games I wanted to play. At the end of the day, I was like, I miss so much. I miss so much. But you can also find me DaveControl, and I do a lot of gaming comedy retrospectives, gaming history, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, all that stuff.
Awesome. So, all right, let's start. Hombre, why don't you tell us about your Nintendo experience?
All right, so I think a lot of people were slightly disappointed in Nintendo's presentation.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so. And I think mainly that was because Sony came out the day before at the end of the day, and they had a lot of really epic trailers, and people got really pumped. And then Nintendo's like, all right, here's Star Fox, which it's great and all, but they don't have these kind of big cinematic reveals, and they didn't get people hyped. But
Okay,
when you went to the show floor, it was kind of another story. It's like, hey, get in line for Star Fox, 4 hours.
Oh, so that's your gripe with Star Fox Zero, is just how bad the lines were.
No, I don't have a graph with Star Fox.
Oh, I do. Those controls were out of, like,
was it move it around like that control?
Okay, so it's, so you use the sticks to, like, move around your ship.
Yeah.
But then you have to look here in order to aim where you're firing.
Not really,
So
kinda.
it is though.
Sometimes, only in some modes. Some modes you can, okay, so you aim with the gamepad, motion controls, kind of like Splatoon.
Right.
But when you're
deactivated
flying
that
straight
right
on
away.
rails,
That's terrible.
yeah, when you're flying on rails, you can still see your aim on the main screen. But
Right,
when you
but-
go into all-range mode, then you kind of have to look.
That's when it gets awful, because like you'll look up and you are like flying toward yourself, but when you look down, you're looking out the front, and I'm just like, I can't.
Yeah, that's
Wait, you're
so
flying.
disorienting.
It was a bit disorienting.
So you're flying towards yourself.
Well, because like there are times when you're doing like boss battles and
Yeah.
stuff, right? Where it's just got you focused in on the one thing
Right.
that either you're trying to protect or that you're trying to shoot. So it'll just sort of put you on a pattern where if you're like trying desperately to shoot something and you're staring at this and you look up, it's got you like coming around this way, like at yourself.
Oh.
And you're like, wait, how do I steer now?
That's an
it
odd
got
choice.
to be really, really
I think you just have to accept the fact that you're gonna look at the gamepad now.
powerless. You just have to
You just
accept your
ignore the
powerlessness.
screen. Yeah, pretty much.
Oh man.
I looked at the lines for Star Fox and went, nope, and then went right over to Mario Maker where there weren't that many lines. And
Yeah, Mario Maker was
Maker's great.
fun.
I'm in love.
Yeah.
This is love, guys. It's true love.
It is, and the thing about Mario Maker, because they showed it last year, right? But they
Yeah.
showed a lot less last year. So last year I was like, you know what, this game, meh. And then you look at you saw the Nintendo World Championships and like,
That was the best way to
This
hype
is
it up.
I
crazy.
agree.
It
I think
Sure.
by putting it in the hands of people that actually know how to design, like it was clearly made by the community to like screw over the people that were playing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what everyone wanted to see. So the fact that they gave us that as the first time showing it, like my mind was going wild with like, you know, different ideas for how you can screw it.
Totally. Well, like I played it with AJ from Random Encounters, and they let he and I like take turns making levels for each other, like really short ones.
Yeah.
But both of us immediately were like, all right, how can we ruin one another? So like I put like thwomps all the way across the top. bullets all the way across the bottom, made it an underwater level, and then put a giant blooper at
monster.
the end.
You
So like
monster.
he would like start playing, he was like, oh, it's underwater. Okay, well, this is fine because the thwomps are going down really slow and I can just float up so that I'm not getting hit by the bullets. So he would just like slowly go over the thwomps, but then blooper was like near. And he was like, no, where do I go? It was so fun. And then he did like the similar sort of a thing, and the whole process of creating the levels is really entertaining too. Like they made the whole thing really endearing, you know?
They have a way where when you draw, so it feels like you're drawing a level, but you can kind of wiggle an enemy to change them around. To change their mode, which is really cool. And they have animations when you do it, so it's Nintendo. They made it really fun.
Yeah.
They did a great job.
Also, I like the feedback of like when you die at a level, you see where everyone else died in relation to you,
Yeah, I
and
like
you
that
have little
too.
comments, and you can definitely tell if it's like a really hard spike, or if you see a death all the way up there, like, oh, so there's a way to get up there, and then that can maybe like jog your memory on like a different.
It's a very social game.
Oh, for
They've
sure.
really managed that good.
Yeah.
The other thing that was awesome was they had the levels that were in the Nintendo Championship playable here, and I hope it's playable in the final game. But that was a really cool
I'm
game to
sure it
actually
will
play
be.
those. So that was my joy.
Yeah.
Booth Babe Lady told me that I was the only person to beat the level that I did, and all the time.
Which
You're
level
like,
was this?
The fourth of the
The final one.
final one.
Yeah, I got up to Bowser and then my time ran out.
It
I
took
was
me a while
close.
to figure out some of it.
Yeah,
It was tricky.
I think all of us were talking before we started filming this, but we also found out how they make it so that you can't create an impossible level.
Yeah.
Is when you create the level, and I think they did this also maybe in Little Big Planet. I'm trying to
Oh,
remember
that would make sense.
what other
'cause Little
game
Big
they've done
Planet's the
this
one
in.
where you can create levels.
Yeah, where once you're done creating a level, you have to beat it in order to submit it. So you have to prove that it's beatable. So if you make one that's like so hard even you can't beat it, then you've got a problem. But
Yeah, or just block off the wall. Because that was something I tested out right away. The first thing when I got to make a level was I went to the flag and just built a giant wall around it. And my person was like, yeah, you can do
you
that.
can
You
do that.
can do that. I was like,
Thought of everything.
I can't believe you didn't predict that. Or you did predict that.
I think my favorite thing was when you can put things in other things. So
Right.
for instance,
Oh, yeah,
you have those
yeah.
like bullet bill cannons, and you can put like a little fish in there, so it'll shoot out a little fish, and they're just like, it's like really sad.
there's an entire level that you can play that comes with the game where all of the normal stuff that would like shoot bullets at you or whatever just shoots coins. So the whole level you're just getting rained on
Oh,
by
yeah,
coins.
I
Like
love this
yes, yeah.
And
The handset is
you can
just
use
like
that for some great fake outs too.
Oh yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Just have a bunch of coin ones and then suddenly a bullet one and die.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's brilliant.
All good ideas. Hey,
Brilliant.
take them, community. Go
Yeah,
run.
there you go. Mwah.
Great ideas.
And then I'll play your brilliant level based on our ideas.
There's Yoshi, the Yoshi
Woolly-
Yarn game.
World.
Woolly World,
Woolly
yeah. Did any of you guys
Yarn?
play that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was cute.
Very cute.
game.
It's very
Adorable.
much like Yoshi's Island, like the way we want it to be.
Yeah.
Except cuter, but that's fine.
Yeah, lots of like
Yeah.
hidden areas and shooting stuff with your cute little wool eggs and stuff.
I just kept on looking at the amiibo that they had, and it really was adorable. It's like,
Yeah,
that is such a cute amiibo.
he's so precious.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just like in New Super Mario Brothers and those other co-op games, you end up ruining things for each other, like all the time.
Oh yeah.
So me and the person I was playing it, we were both collecting a bunch of eggs. Like, all right, we're ready to go. And there's an enemy somewhere, and my friend's gonna shoot an egg and accidentally swallows me, and
Right.
I lose all my eggs. I'm like, thanks
You're the worst.
again.
So I think that's the thing that Nintendo has that a lot of companies don't, is they really have that local co-op, that couch co-op.
Yeah.
Where it's anytime I want to have friends over and play a game, it's always like, guys, come over and play Nintendo Land. Let's play Mario Kart 8. Let's play Smash Brothers.
Right.
It's always Nintendo games I think of when I invite people
Right.
over and we're gonna hang
Party
out and
games.
play games.
Yeah, it's both party games and also like the family
Family games.
games.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've definitely marketed themselves as a social company, which
Yeah.
I think is doing pretty well for them. So
Too bad they can't do it online.
I know.
Wait, Splatoon.
There's
Splatoon,
Splatoon.
right?
That's true.
Without
Splatoon's
voice
for
chat.
fun.
They just need some ranking system and leaderboards.
yeah,
and-
they don't want to do voice chat because I think they're still in that whole family thing. They don't want to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
but
that-
it's
that kinda
so.
worms.
No, it's good. No, as a person
yeah.
who literally screams at my TV, like, it's really good that
Also,
they don't have voice chat.
like so, Nintendo's most recent foray into the whole online arena thing with like the Miiverse and the new Nintendo. I don't know if you guys have tried it yet.
I haven't.
But so basically, you select your characters, and then each of the characters, if you win with that character, you can leave a little note that'll appear in the background for the next person that plays it, or someone online somewhere.
Right.
But ultimately, you're just going to get a ton of, like, I've already played within 10 minutes. I got like Hitler did nothing wrong, and like penises coming out of where, like, and just terrible things, like the worst stuff ever.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, this is inevitable. This is always going to happen, especially if you get anyone in the
Well,
crowd.
especially when you can
do you
draw it.
do
It's
that?
pretty
Drawing
hard.
is pretty
like
hard.
words are pretty easy to switch out, but when you can draw anything,
Yeah.
it's hard to be like, oh, this is definitely the shape of a penis. People are gonna get really creative with their penises to make sure it gets on there.
I know a person who is a moderator on Miiverse.
Oh,
I'll have
really?
I'll have
That
to
must be
ask
the
her how that.
Yeah, I want to know what
wow.
that process
Just
is
like millions of like dick, or vagina, dick.
She comes home every day from work and she's like, I've seen the worst things I've ever seen in my life.
on Miiverse.
What did Ness do to him?
She's gonna get,
what
like-
did Ness do to him?
She's gonna get like Miiverse PTSD.
Yeah. Oh man.
What about you, Criken? What was like your favorite thing that you saw?
Oh boy. I kind of wandered around. Indiecade's great. They've like I hung around with the indie games a lot because I'm a big fan of indie games. A lot of friends of mine actually develop them there.
Sorry, no, keep
No,
going.
that was really-
there is something.
I was about to ask. Okay, so I ran into somebody who told me that I needed to play this game called like Pug.
Oh, butt sniffing pugs.
Butt sniffing pugs.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a game where I didn't play it, but I know there's a big tennis ball that's like like one of those mouse trackpads that's like a big
Yeah.
ball you kind of roll.
Yeah.
So they basically recreate a controller where there's a giant tennis ball. You have to go like this, and like there's a pug's like a stuffed pug's butt in your face. So you're buried in this pug, and you're like rolling with this tennis ball. Really odd stuff, but really endearing too.
I guess like when you. Sorry, I totally like
No,
took
go
over.
ahead.
I was like, what was your favorite thing? But
my favorite thing.
Sniffing pug butts. I didn't actually play this game, but yeah, she was saying that when you sniff another pug's butt, you get like a special power, but it's not really a special power. It's like a thing that a normal dog is able to do. Like she sniffed one pug and then was able to poop and was like, I can poop on things now. Like just
This sounds
super
like a
weird.
game you
that
really
was
need
an indicator.
to
It was
try.
in that
Yeah,
area.
this sounds like an
so-
incredible game. I went to that area and I was looking for Death's Gambit, so
Right.
I didn't notice it, and man, did I miss out.
Could've
Everything
sniffed
there
pug
is really
butts.
creative. Yeah, I love those games. Another game that was really cool is the next Giant Sparrow game. Giant Sparrow made Unfinished Swan. If any of you guys have heard of it.
Oh yeah.
I knew the name going into this and I forget. It's like the remains of Agatha Finch, I think, something
Okay.
along those lines. But it's beautiful. It's a narrative-based game where you kind of explore this memory. Then you keep like finding like books of people's diaries, pretty much, and you're kind of like reading through each diary. And each time you go through a diary, you go through their memories, and they're all really distinct and like really. You kind of just keep going within people's minds, almost like Inception, but like, I don't know, it felt really real, and you end up, like, at least in the demo that I played, you go through this child's memory, and she's like playing make-believe and saying like, and then I was a cat, and suddenly you're playing as a cat, and it feels like you're playing as a cat, like you're jumping between trees and trying to catch a bird, and then you're an owl, and then you're swooping down and catching mice, and then you're a shark, and suddenly you become a shark, and you like tumble down a cliff into the water, and you're catching seals.
So what's the
And, like,
actual gameplay of it like? Is it kind of a platformer then, or what? Or is it just like kind of an art book that you're looking at, or?
Well, it's a 3D world that you're first exploring as
Yeah.
this. Well, first you're like a kid that's on a boat and you find a diary, and then you're playing as this woman who is apparently the voice of the diary, and she's
Right.
exploring a house. And as you're finding out about her life by exploring this house, you'll find books from her siblings, I think.
Yeah.
And then those siblings have their own imaginations, and
Okay.
you're going through those. So it's a 3D exploration game.
Yeah.
But then it becomes a platformer, and then it becomes like a chase game, and then, I mean it transforms all the time, which I thought was really cool. If you played Unfinished Swan, it's a similar sort of like exploration. Like
Okay.
it doesn't tell you what to do; you kind of figure it out on its own. And the level design was really nice. Like I felt like I could just wander, and it all made sense to where I went. Like I ended up in the right place, even if I didn't realize I was heading the right way.
Yeah.
That sounds super cool.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I have more, but I'll let other people talk.
Another thing is that it isn't 2-hour lines for that stuff, which is really
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
It's really
oh, for sure.
nice.
Yeah, yeah.
And often like the most meaningful experiences too. Like I feel like a lot of the best games I play at these sort of things are just the weird ones tucked away, and then I get to talk to the guy that made it, and he like explains how he got around to it, and I realized like, oh, that gave me so many like cool ideas. And
Yeah.
That's what I love about the indie areas when you hang out there at these events, is it really is the guy who has developed the game is standing right there demoing it.
yeah, you're not talking to like some
Totally.
PR representative
Yeah.
that's like just trying to hurry you along so the next
For
person
sure.
can go.
Yeah.
It just gives you so much, just general insights, and especially when you feel like I have a direct line of communication
Yeah.
with the developers.
You can have like an actual deep conversation.
And they'll appreciate to hear how you interpret their piece, because like I mean, it's not like they're like, oh, you liked it, all right, okay, get out. It's like, what did you think of this? And like, oh, I never thought of someone doing it like the way that you did it, and then they approach it differently when they're developing it, which is really cool.
Yeah, I got to play Blood Bowl 2. For anybody who's played Blood Bowl before.
I have not.
Have you? Okay, so
Is that the football game? With
it's the
okay.
football game where all of the different football teams are
fantasy.
different fantasy races. The original Blood Bowl, super, super fun. It's all like dice based. But the interface had aged quite a bit. Like at this point now, it's like, I feel like there's a better way to do this. And so Blood Bowl 2 is coming out in September. And I got to play with one of the devs, and he like stomped me. But somehow my little half elves were like destroying his trolls, and I was like, I don't know how this is happening, because it's all dice, right? Like everybody has stats, but there's always the possibility that you can literally just kill somebody, right? But yeah, anybody who's super into Blood Bowl. Blood Bowl 2, the interface is so clean. They make it a lot easier to tell what your chances are of doing something. Like if you have like two enemies who are surrounding the ball, but the ball is just sitting there, and you're like, I could run and pick that up. If you select the person that you want to go and grab the ball, rather than just being like, all right, you want to do that? We'll roll some dice. Instead, now it'll give you a % chance. So it'll be like, all right, you're going to be running through this tackle zone and this tackle zone. So you have a 50% chance of not getting tackled here, a 50% of not getting tackled here, and picking up the ball is going to be like a 60% chance, right? Like it'll give you those percentages.
Is it all turn-based?
It's all
So
turn-based.
it's like RPG style sport.
Yeah,
essentially.
That's
it's
interesting.
really fun. Yeah, so I encourage you guys to wait and play Blood Bowl 2 if you have any interest in that game at all.
I mean, it sounds really cool.
Speaking of Christmas Blood Bowl, it's a like Warhammer American football game, and I play Warhammer, and I was super excited to try out Total Warhammer, because I'm also a Total War fan. But then turns out, where was Sega?
Oh yeah, they weren't there.
They weren't
were
here.
They?
They weren't here.
I didn't even think about that.
If you went to the South Hall next to Ubisoft, there's just a big empty space where Sega should have been. It was so sad.
Sega.
Yeah.
I always feel bad because like you go to Sega. That's their new one.
Yeah.
I always feel weird when I go, or kind of bad when you go to those conferences and there's some booths that are so heavily populated you can hardly move. And then you go to the ones on the brink in the outside area, and there's like 2 people in the booth, and it's just like, you have an entire booth, and no one's.
And they're expensive. They're really
they've
expensive.
got to be super expensive.
I think it's like 10,000 for like a pretty small.
Really? So that's what it is?
It's something ridiculous like that. Yeah.
Too much.
I was wondering. I mean, these companies spend so much money just setting everything up, and then when you look at the displays that they have and all that.
For sure. Yeah. E3 is just a big light and sound money board.
Yeah.
And, I mean, whenever you go, I'm like, oh, good, the games industry still has money in it. Otherwise, that's really up.
On the indie games, though, I got to finally check out Death's Gambit, which Dodger and I were talking about it yesterday, comparing it to Salt and Sanctuary, which are sort of similar 2D platform games that were really heavily inspired by the Souls franchise. And it was cool to play the other one, which was Death's Gambit. And
Yeah, how did you
them.
feel about them like comparing?
So Death's Gambit kind of is a slightly more platformy than Salt and Sanctuary in a way where you have a grappling hook that you can use to work your way around castles and all of that stuff. So it felt in a way like a little quicker paced. I had a friend who's another Dark Souls guy play both of them with me, and he preferred Death's Gambit because he thought it was a little more difficult. It was more challenging, and he liked that aspect. I liked Salt and Sanctuary a little bit more because there's a parry mechanic in Salt and Sanctuary, which makes the combat a little more intricate, and for me, that's always a little bit more fun. But they're both really good games, so I think the hand-to-hand combat is a little more intricate in Salt and Sanctuary, but Death's Gambit's more like difficult platformy style. It's still pretty weighted and not too ultra platformy.
Yeah.
But it's I don't know, they're very similar in a lot of ways. So it was interesting comparing the two. art style is also similar. We were talking about that.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
There's a lot of ways, a lot of similarities.
Yeah, I didn't find Salt and Sanctuary. I did find Cuphead though. Cuphead.
What were your thoughts?
Cuphead. Somebody gave me the very important note of when you find Cuphead, there's like 2 stations here and then 2 stations in the back, like right up against the wall.
No, really?
Where nobody is playing it on that side. So there's like a huge line on this side and then just nobody over here. So I was like, what? So I went back there and it was totally true. There was a guy who had literally just been sitting there for like
Playing the whole time.
ever. Yeah, just playing
someone
it.
found me.
Yeah. So I like,
That's amazing.
I went back there and I was like, hi, can I play with you? And he was like, sure, but I've been playing for a while. And I was like, okay.
Okay.
So I
who's this
played with
noob?
him. I like, immediately died.
Yeah.
And he was like, it's fine. And then we like tried again and I immediately died again. And he was like, it's fine. He was like so patient. But yeah, the animation in that game is so good.
I love the
so
style.
fluid.
I can't believe no one's tried that, like done that before, like the whole Steamboat Willie, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I know like as far as like a moving cartoon goes, I know Nintendo tried with one of the Wario games that they made.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was the one on Wii U's. A Wario game on Wii, they tried to make it look like a moving cartoon, but not like Steamboat Willie style.
Sure.
Right.
And it's just amazing how fluid it is. I also, I don't know, it wouldn't really affect him if you died though, because since it's 2-player and someone dies, it doesn't affect the
Well,
one
I
player.
mean, he wasn't able to beat it on his own.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the difficulty is different if you start with 2 players or
Yeah,
not.
or maybe it spikes their health or something like that to compensate. That
Yeah.
could be the case.
I'm not sure. It was the one against 2 different. Oh, what were they?
Frog box?
The 2 frogs. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I kept on watching people play that one, and I didn't get to play it myself because everyone was playing it. So my friend and I were like, all right, let's try something that we haven't watched for 10 minutes because we didn't know there's a secret back studio of Cuphead stations, the back lot.
Yeah, the back lot of Cuphead. Yeah, that was fun. I also played The Fire and the Flood. Did any of you play that?
No, where was that?
It was in the Xbox area.
Okay.
And it was it's a game set in a world where there's been a huge flood, and so people are like trying to survive after this flood that's wiped out a bunch of people. And you play this girl, and at the very beginning of the game, your dog brings you a radio, and so it's like you have an objective now: either find a place where you can get a better reception on the radio, or find where the radio signal is coming from. And so you just kind of like, you wander around and you pick up stuff and you can craft things. And I like caught a rabbit and it was like, you want to skin the rabbit? And I was like, this is dark, sure. And I like built a fire and cooked the rabbit. And I was like, all right, cool. But
They're like, you want to eat the rabbit raw? Okay, sure.
Still alive, it's breathing.
It'll tell you, and like with water, you can collect water and it'll be like, it's kind of sketchball water. You might get dysentery. So just
Go for it.
think of that. Yeah. Like, you can, boil the water or you can just drink it if you want to. But a big mechanic of the game is like, some of the time you're wandering around doing all of the normal survival stuff.
Right.
But because there's been a huge flood, a big part of it is you have a raft made out of an old car. And you just like hop on the raft with your dog and you have to like dodge stuff that's just kind of like floating in this water to get to the next area.
I think it was necessary for somebody to play one of the dog games at E3 this year.
There were
And-
so many dogs.
dog games.
Yeah, so many dog games, and some of them weren't playable like Fallout 4, and I'm glad you got to play the dog game.
I got to play a dog game.
That sounds cool. I've never heard of flood as like an actual setting in a game before. And I feel
Yeah,
like
me neither.
if you can like dive down into a flooded like household, I think that's like such a fascinating sort of
Oh,
setting.
that would be cool. Yeah,
would
I'm
be
not
really
sure
cool.
if that's a thing.
So
Okay, well,
I
get on that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
figure it out. Make it happen.
So I got to play a game that I didn't schedule that much this year. I thought I'd kind of just walk around and have fun. But one of the few things I did schedule was checking out the game Hellblade, which the trailer came out last week, and it wasn't really on the floor at all.
Is that the one about the girl, the Viking girl?
So
with
this
like
is a
mental
Viking girl with
illnesses?
a mental illness. And what's cool about it is they've been doing a dev vlog on their YouTube channel. And apparently they just done a cute session of seeing if the game needed to get fixed. And they got a huge bunch of notes 2 weeks ago to prepare for this. And I was one of the people who got to do that and check out the game in the current build. So yeah, it was really cool. So the game is it's basically an action exploration game would be the way to describe it. And you play as a Viking who has a mental illness. And her mental illness is that it starts with all these voices speaking to her, and she has to go find things, and she sees things and hallucinates in the way that they look. So she's trying to essentially go to hell, I think. And these hell-like creatures come out and start attacking her, and the art style is insane. Seriously, look at the trailer of it, and some of the stuff is legitimately scary. I'm a grown man. I was like, wow, this is insanely scary looking.
Terrifying game.
Which I thought was great, but it turns into it's very much one-on-one combat style. They really try to emphasize each battle that you have is exciting and fun. Even though it's pretty basic to learn, it still is a fun battle for everything, and it looks incredibly cinematic. They add some intricacies where you can counter attacks and kind of parry attacks out of the way. And then her mental illness works for the exploration where you kind of solve puzzles with it. Where if you use a certain mode of hers, you can kind of start to see things in the environment as you look around. Like there's a tree that you saw, and it just looks like a normal tree. And when you activate her mode, if you look at it the exact right way as you start to weave around, all of a sudden the branches start to make a face shape. And it turns into a face that starts speaking to her.
That's awesome.
And then that tells her where to go next. And she sees these things in the environment like that then turn into faces and start speaking to her and start turning into other things as these hell-like monsters start coming out to attack her.
Right.
And the demo ended with you walking through one long hallway where there's this insanely creepy face looking around, jittery, talking, and then there's a lag in the way it talked. And it was just like the most horrifying thing where I was like, if this was me in real life, I would go insane. And that was kind of the thing with them that they're trying to do too, which is cool about it, is they're actually getting funded by various hospitals and such, and places that study mental illnesses is helping them fund this game. So they're trying to actually do it a service and make people understand what it's like. So you see this stuff and you're like, wow, this is terrifying. And that's supposed to kind of be an aspect of what those people go through.
That's awesome. Yeah. What's it called again?
It's called Hellblade.
Hellblade.
Yeah, definitely check out their dev blog or their YouTube and check it out.
Yeah.
I mean, beyond the fact that it's a gorgeous, beautiful looking game, it's just that idea behind the gameplay was really intriguing to me.
Yeah. As we wrap up, what would be the one thing that you guys would say was your number one takeaway from the show?
I have one.
None of you can say Kanye West. Kanye West was there. We all know it happened.
I
passed Elijah Wood. He was there too.
He was all right.
He's all right. I do want to say though that the great thing about E3 this year is I feel like this has been the best E3 for games that we've had in years.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm having trouble thinking of what game, because there's so many good ones this time. Because this time we're finally at the point with the consoles where they've been out long enough that developers have had a time to actually start creating the games that we can start to see.
That are made for it, yeah.
Right, that are made for it, and they're not just launch titles that are going to come out in 2 years.
Right.
Especially it took a while for these console cycles to really get started. And it feels like they're finally getting started for the consoles themselves, and there are just so many great games announced and on the floor and playable.
Well, instead of one game, you could also have a takeaway of a theme that you notice across all of them, or
Yarn.
Yarn, yeah, definitely yarn.
Yarn was
the yarning.
Yeah.
Yarn and
The
paper.
Yarn and wool, any apparel based.
Yeah.
And the
Dogs.
dogs, and
Yarn and dogs.
and
Yarn dogs.
and sexy rain-drenched cars.
Yeah, a lot of rain.
If I can contrast to the thing with the consoles,
Yeah.
I'm a Nintendo/PC gamer,
Yeah.
and for me, I'm like, there's too many consoles. So I went to play Star Wars Battlefront.
Right.
I'm a fan of Battlefield. I've been a fan of Battlefront in the past. I love DICE so much, but please, guys, keyboards and mice.
No, man, it's all about controllers.
I can't do an analog. So we go there, me and my friend, we go there and sit down for the demo. It's like, yes, this is going to be so awesome. And hand me a PlayStation 4 controller. And I'm like, okay, I can't do anything now.
How do you play Splatoon, Mr. Nintendo?
No, okay, Splatoon has motion controls. Motion controls are good.
Oh, I don't
generally.
use the motion controls for it. I turned off immediately.
Oh, well, there you go. There you go.
I like dual analogs, but I guess I'm more of a console gamer.
Yeah, exactly. But and it might actually be an American versus European thing, because a lot of people in Europe are PC gamers.
Yeah, well, I mean,
primarily.
nowadays, I think this was the first year that PC games outsold console games, I think. There's
Really?
something some statistic like that. They're finally catching up. But I mean, a lot of the games that I checked out, even though you played it on a console, they had a PC version that was coming out.
Oh, for sure. It's just how am I supposed to write about a game I can't play because I have a handicap?
Get over your handicap, man. I believe in you. I believe in you.
Thank you.
You can grow. We'll have a training montage. It'll be great.
All right, can you play the
80s
Rocky
style.
music? Then we'll
80s
be
style with that, and you're like, you can't even hold it properly at first. And you're like, oh no.
But Aubrey, what would be like the positive thing, like a positive thing that you're taking away, being like, wow, that was cool at E3?
I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna have to say this. Nintendo did a really good job with Charles Martinet this year. He was out there, he was greeting fans, he was signing things. There are so many people, game devs and other associated people, that people really want to meet and get close to.
Yeah.
And you can contrast that with last year. Charles Martinet was at E3 all last year, but they kept him locked up in a booth.
Yeah.
Playing like the voice of Mario.
They literally have him like padlock chained up. No.
Help me.
So I hope that's more of a thing that's to come, that I hope they bring out these big people, because we want to talk to these idols for many of us, legends. And that goes to Nintendo especially, but even other companies that have big names.
Yeah.
Fans want to meet them, and so let them. I mean, they can go be celebrities for 3 days.
Yeah.
I definitely want to see more of that.
Yeah. For me, actually, I mean, one of my highlights was the Nintendo World Championship. I just thought that was so much fun, even though it wasn't technically E3. It was like...
It was part of it, I think.
Watching that when we were watching it on the couch together before streaming it, that was so exciting.
Yeah.
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
It was the World Championship according to America.
Oh, yeah, that's true, because it was all Best Buy. But what about the YouTubers? Weren't the YouTubers from Speedrunner?
There's a few of them, yeah. But I mean, I know a person, I know a friend in Sweden who, he's really good. I think he finished in like top 10 of like Swedish speedrunners or something like that. There are a lot of international people who would love to come. It's like, oh, you can qualify for Best Buy. And I'm like, okay, well.
Well, you know what? It was
for me.
also World Championship minus Dave, because I mean, let me tell you, I would have rocked that. Rocked that so hard. Other big highlight for me.
Well, you did beat that level, right?
I beat a couple of the levels.
Yeah, there you go.
So how about that? Even though I might have seen them on this.
Learn how they do it.
But other thing for me, I wasn't sure. Dark Souls 3 was announced, and I kind of knew it was coming for a month, and I wasn't sure. I was kind of skeptical because I didn't want it to be the whole Call of Duty thing. Where I actually really like the Call of Duty games, but they come out every year, and I get so tired of it.
And
but
same thing with Assassin's Creed now.
Yeah, with Assassin's Creed, back in the day, Tony Hawk. I used to like those games too until it was every year. But the fact that I got to see it behind closed doors and it was legitimately really, really good looking, I was like, wow, I'm actually impressed and excited. So that was also a highlight for me.
Awesome. What about you?
What about me? I guess I liked the trend of not settling for the old anymore. I mean, there's like a couple of rehash games, like Call of Duty still coming out yearly, but it seems like a lot of franchises that could be doing that yearly release have been trying to add some sort of spice, or there were a lot of new IPs this year, which I was really impressed by. And all of them, the ones that I tried to play as many new ones as I could, and they all had something about them that was unique, and that like when Assassin's Creed first was introduced, and it's like, oh, I can climb on anything, and that was like everyone wanted to buy it. And now there's new games that are entering their own kind of unique genres with that similar hook. Like for example, I played Until Dawn, which is like a horror game that the narrative is very much like a B horror movie, where it's like a bunch of college kids go to like an escape, like a cabin somewhere. There's like a maniac killing everyone. But the way they did the gameplay is kind of Telltale-esque, and that like you play as these different characters, but instead of, let's say you play as a character and you make a mistake and they die, instead of just ending the game there and letting you try again, that character is now dead and you switch to another character. And then because that character isn't around anymore, there's a whole butterfly effect of like other options that aren't going to be available.
What? That sounds
So it's like
cool.
Heavy Rain meets a survival horror meets an action game.
Yeah.
Type of way.
And like, I mean, this is like QuickTime events is like how you kind of solve little puzzles, but they have this whole like,
Even more Heavy Rain.
yeah, but there's like moments where like inaction is the best option. And so like for me, one of the first encounters is like, there's a bunch of deer like looking me down, and it's like, you can either walk through them and they get aggressive, and you have this axe, and it gives you the option to chop it, and it's like ticking down, and you're like, oh, I gotta do it, but I didn't do anything, and then the deer is like, okay, and just kind of let me pass. And because that,
You're cool by me, bro.
because that I survived, and because I survived later on when my partner was in danger, I was able to help her. And if I wasn't there. I watched someone else playing when the guy wasn't there, and she just died.
See, I was
And
hoping you'd say because I didn't do that, the deer came back. And
Yeah.
came back for me.
Yeah.
What up, bro?
I'm sure that could happen. I mean, the game had
help you out.
a ton of branching and stuff. It was really cool.
Yeah.
And so along that theme, like the HoloLens is amazing. Anyone?
Oh, you got to try it?
I didn't try it, but
Oh.
I know. I wish the lines were like 6 hours long. But everyone that I've heard that did try it, it blew their minds.
Like Kanye
So-
West.
Like Kanye West.
Our producer was telling us that apparently Kanye was just going, this is dope, this is dope, this is dope, the whole time he was using the HoloLens. That was the only story Kanye wanted to
Krender
tell.
was telling me, I don't know if he was at the Xbox booth, but he was like playing a game, and then he heard somebody who worked at the booth behind him being like, Kanye West is coming. What do we do? Kanye West is going to be coming here, like right now. What do we do? He's on the way. And everybody was like, oh my God, Kanye West is coming. And they were all freaking out. And he was like, I guess I'll leave.
And come back again.
You should have just stayed there and been like, well, this is my time slot.
Yeah. Kanye, you can play with me if you want, I guess.
Did they cupboard with him and they're like, oh
Yeah.
God, okay.
He's like,
Wanna be my number
Kanye,
2 in Cuphead.
I don't know if you've seen Cox and Krender, but you could be my Cox. I'll be your
Ooh.
Krender.
That'd be great.
Awesome. Well,
What,
thanks
what was
for-
your highlight?
What was my highlight? I know what my biggest disappointment was.
Oh, that's not a highlight.
I know. I went to the Natsume booth.
Yeah.
Because I always have to see what their newest Harvest Moon is.
Hmm.
And it's a mobile Harvest Moon that looks real bad.
I was actually going to ask you about that. I saw that and I thought about you. I was like, what's Dodger going to think about Harvest Moon?
Real bad. I went over there and I was like, these character models are awful.
Yeah.
Like Natsume is normally so good at having things like, if they need to be sort of, tiny and adorable, they'll be tiny and adorable. And if they can, expand things a little bit, they understand when to expand things. But man, this mobile version, like the characters don't look like they belong in the world at all. And when they go profile, the back of them, it's like the back is just straight up. And then their bodies like do this, so they look super weird. I was like,
I was actually
Nope.
kind of excited when I saw it just because they're like, oh yeah, it's a mobile Harvest Moon. I was like, that sounds awesome actually. I'd be excited for that.
yeah, I just wish it looked better.
No, I mean that is a shame because they usually do a good job with that.
Yeah, but what would be my highlight? I wish that I had been able to try any of the VR stuff. I didn't get to touch any of that really. But I was like, I hadn't planned on playing, this is gonna sound silly, I hadn't planned on playing Blood Bowl 2. And
Yeah.
I've played a lot of Blood Bowl, and so like to play the newest version, I was like, whoa, this is actually like way more accessible. Like just so much fun. It was a pleasant surprise for me. So I walked away, and I was playing it literally up until the point where they closed the hall too.
Yeah, okay.
So I got to walk away being like, wow, like they really improved on that system. Like that's super fun.
It sounded like the way we were talking about it, that would definitely be your highlight.
Yeah. So I enjoyed that. But yeah, thanks for joining me, guys.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
sure.
let you guys destroy this because guess what? E3's over.
It's bust.
It's bust. It's bust.
Okay.
So thank you guys so much for watching.
I was just trying to
I'm
like
gonna let them
punch through.
go one at a time. Yes, good. I'm gonna let
All
them
at
go one
once.
at a time and tell you who they are and where you can find them. We'll start with Criken.
Hi, I'm
There you go.
Criken. You can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/Criken2. I'm also on Twitter at Crickmaster. And thanks for watching. This was real fun. I really enjoyed E3, like talking about E3. So come on and watch me talk about it some more on the internet.
Yeah, Hombre.
Yeah, I'm Hombre de Mundo from ZeldaUniverse.net. Oh, I should have talked about Zelda. If you like A Link Between Worlds, you will like Triforce, whatever is its name. Triforce. Zero.
You sound really sold on
I mean, the thing is,
Wow, you did that.
Nintendo and names, just sometimes, I swear. New Super Zelda 3D Land for the 3DS.
Right.
Ultimate Turbo Ultra Edition because Capcom just took over all of a sudden.
Cool. Did you tell them your Twitter?
Do we have a Twitter? It's at ZeldaUniverse.
Perfect.
There we go.
And Dave.
Hey guys, I'm Dave, DaveControlLive. I'm really strong. Check it out.
So strong.
So
Oh my
strong.
gosh.
That's what I do. I just I get all the ladies doing that. Also, you can find me on YouTube ripping things up at
That's what he does.
DaveControlLive.
That's his
That's all
I'm
his
literally
channel is.
just the Ripper.
Oop,
DaveControlLive.
Nope.
Just thinking- yeah, that's okay. Nope. And you go there. You have to go. Okay, so anyways, I do a lot of comedy gaming retrospectives. I started a new gaming history show, and I also do a lot on Dark Souls and Bloodborne. Which, by the way, they had a cool retro section at E3, but no Magnavox Odyssey. It was the very first system I was looking for. It wasn't there.
Oh, they did Rare too. Rare did the retro
Rare
thing.
I love Rare.
Get the Rare thing.
Oh,
if you have an
yeah,
Xbox
actually,
One.
no. Sea of Thieves is my highlight. I changed it. Sea of Thieves. The new Rare game, the Pirate MMO.
Oh, yeah? I
I'm
didn't
stunned.
touch it.
So cool. You have to play it?
I didn't get to play it. It wasn't at E3, but
Okay.
just from the
Just
trailer,
the idea
Yeah,
of
the
it.
trailer was like, oh
That's
my
enough.
gosh, this is amazing.
I flipped out. So
Yeah.
that's the only thing I care about.
Awesome. And I'm Dodger. Thank you guys so much for joining us for this whole week, ever since Sunday. You know who you are. And we'll see you guys next E3. Or we'll see you on the Daily Bite. Because that's our daily news show. Right here
every
on
day.
youtube.com/Polaris.
See you tomorrow.
Heck yeah. See you on Monday.
See you on Monday.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.